analyzing over 4.4 billion emails.
That was the biggest surprise to us. There are two main tactics that you can use to make your emails more engaging. All these things combined can have a massive impact on your click-through rates, on your conversion rates, and you don't have to overthink it yourself.
Okay, so we're here with 𝗵𝗺 𝗠𝗿𝗀, Head of Content and Partnerships at GetResponse. And 𝗵𝗺, we've just released the 2024 Email Benchmarking Report, which is a huge bit of content, a huge bit of research done on emails, of course. And we're here to talk about it today. So first of all, 𝗵𝗺, I want to ask you, on a general level, what did you find about the report?
There are many cool findings. One of the most surprising things that we found is that the average engagement rates, so the open rates and click rates, have actually increased year over year. So we see that marketers are sending actually better emails, and people are more happy to engage with those emails when they receive them.
Okay, and was there anything surprising to you in the report?
Yeah, I think the biggest surprise was that especially in Q4, when you kind of expect that there will be more communication, marketers are going to send more emails to their audience, that people are just going to be a bit more tired with the emails that they receive. They're not going to respond to them as happily. But we actually saw the opposite. So in Q4, the average open rates, click rates, all the main engagement metrics have actually gone up. So that means even though we saw a higher frequency of emails, marketers are sending out more emails, recipients are actually more willing to respond, to engage with those emails, because they're in the shopping mode, let's call it this way. So they're actually expecting to receive this email communication. They're checking out the offers, the emails, and acting upon them. So that was the biggest surprise to us, because before I would normally say that you should be careful about the amount of emails that you send in Q4, because it might affect your deliverability. Now I actually think it's the opposite. People expect to receive these emails, so build up that reputation, send good emails, and don't worry about the average engagement rates, because they will likely be higher.
Okay, so this was a huge study analyzing over 4.4 billion emails. So can you tell us a little bit about the respondents of the study specifically?
Sure. So as always, we looked at GetResponse customers. So specifically, we look at active customers that have at least 500 contacts in their list, and they are actively sending emails to their audience. So it could be anyone from a mom and pop shop, a solo creator, solopreneur that has 500 contacts, up to big brands that have lists of over 100,000 subscribers on their list. And we're looking at all the countries that we have in our databases. Doesn't matter how big your email list size is, as long as you're sending emails actively to your audience. We have been looking at this data and aggregating it together, anonymizing it, making sure that we can pull as many information, as much information, as many insights as possible out of it.
Okay, and you've mentioned there obviously it's global. So can you tell us some top-level trends when we're looking at sort of continents or regions or countries?
Yeah. Typically, we see that the engagement rates are higher in Europe because of the regulations, GDPR, etc. We see quite often that we have marketers here that care more about the way they collect information, the permissions that they collect from their subscribers. When we look at North America, the US, and Canada specifically, we see that the average engagement rates are slightly lower than this, because the permissions aren't as strict. You don't need to have the permission in every single area the same way as we do in Europe. And the same goes for other continents. So we have folks that we analyze in Africa, in Asia, etc. So we see that depending on the regulations, you'll see different engagement rates across the globe. But we have customers throughout the whole world, so this data is looking at all of them.
Got it. And so if we get into some sort of best practice by looking at the data, if I hit you with a question like, roughly speaking, how many newsletters should people be sending per week, for example?
Yeah, that really depends on your audience. So like we saw customers get away with as many as multiple per day. And we see people that receive not so great results even with a weekly newsletter. It really depends on your audience. But I would say at least 2 newsletters per week is a good number to aim for. And really depending on the content. If you're sending a daily update about the stock exchange information or market information, you can do it daily. If you are a B2B business, there's no point in sending a daily email to your prospects or to your customers, because B2B clients are busy people. So I would say aim for at least 2 per week. or at least a weekly newsletter, and just don't overdo it.
Okay, so it's very context dependent, but how about times of day and times of the week?
So that's interesting. We've been always trying to answer that question, like what is the best time to send an email? We've always found that there are two time slots, one early in the morning and one later in the afternoon, so about 4 and 6 a.m. and then 5 to 7 p.m. These are the best times to send emails to get opens and clicks, especially the one in the morning. That's interesting. We see that more people are opening the emails as they start their workday, but they're also clicking through the emails and the offers that they receive later in the day when you send your emails. Okay, you will see the open rates as well, but people are usually catching up on their email communication. They don't have as much time or willingness to click through the offers. So aim for these two time slots, especially around the workday. But again, it can be case dependent, business dependent. If you're sending out emails to folks that actually do their stuff in the evening, or the only time they can convert is in the evening or while they're commuting back home, then you know your audience best, so test it then.
So there you have it, folks. Generally speaking, morning and evening outside of work hours, and about twice a week, newsletters. Yeah. Okay, so Michał, does size matter when it comes to subject lines?
Of course it does. Of course. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
I never do.
So so industry best practice is always keep your subject line short, because you don't want your emails to get truncated, to get affected, and not show your full subject line, especially on mobile devices. And this is actually what we saw in our report as well, that most marketers are aiming for the shortest subject lines, and they're seeing the best results in below 70 characters long. However, this is interesting that we also see people sending out emails with so much longer subject lines, over 100 or even 200 characters. And these folks are also seeing high open rates. Okay, there's a small percentage of these campaigns that go out with these kinds of subject lines, but it makes me think that it's usually not the case that the subject line itself is like the most important thing, but it's the brand, its reputation, who it's being sent to, by whom, the timing of your email. So it's not just one element that you should pay attention to. But if you want to maximize your chances of engaging your audience the right way, you want to make sure that the subject line isn't too long, so you can get your full message across in that limited space that you have in an email inbox.
Understood. So emojis, do they have any difference when including them in a subject line or not?
Sadly, once again, we saw that emails that contain an emoji in the subject line actually have lower open rates. So, well, I prefer myself to receive emails that have emojis, that they stand out and you can see them more clearly in the inbox, especially if it's used in a clever way. We can see that marketers that use emojis don't necessarily get higher results. Now, this again might be dependent on the industry or the fact that this tactic has been, abused by many marketers or used so many times that it might not be just as good anymore. So again, you'll have to test it for yourself. If it's going to make sense for your audience, if it's going to make sense for your business, because not every business really should be using emojis in their subject lines. If you're contacting your lawyer, you don't kind of expect them to have emojis in the subject line, or your mortgage advisor. That's probably not the topic that you want to laugh about and use funny emojis about. So again, test it for yourself, see if it makes sense. But statistically speaking, we see that emojis aren't necessarily helpful and they don't correlate with higher opens.
Okay, so a bit of common sense needs to be applied depending on context and industry.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about subject lines, but what about the actual body of the email itself? What are the best practices people should be following?
So when it comes to creating content or preparing content for your email campaigns, you want to make sure that your emails are as engaging and accessible as possible. So we saw that there are two main tactics that you can use to make your emails more engaging. One thing is to actually use videos, and we're seeing this across all media that folks want to consume video content. They want to check it out on YouTube, on TikTok, on any other platform, right? It's much easier than to read the content inside the emails. And this is what we've seen in our audience as well with our benchmarks report, is that when you embed videos into the emails, they actually get higher open rates and click rates as well. So people are more happy to engage with that kind of campaign. Also, I know we talked about the subject lines, Another common tactic to use is personalization. Well, personalization doesn't work in subject lines as well these days, because kind of people expect that there will be, you know, a first name in the subject line. When it comes to content, they actually enjoy it. They engage with the email communication that has personalized content inside more. So whether it is to just refer to the person, or, you know, to refer to the activity that they've done on your website, or show them product recommendations. When you can personalize the content of the email, it's going to be more effective. They're going to engage with it more. They're going to increase the click-through rates, the conversion rates as well. So that, I would say, these are the two main tactics to make your emails more engaging. But of course, there are other best practices to make your email more accessible, like keep the structure correct, you know, use bullet points, use active language, and use images, for example. That's actually another common tactic we see. You know, certain marketers like to use plain text emails, just send purely text emails. We see actually that the ones that contain an image, we don't know exactly what kind of image, but as long as it has images, it's more likely to have higher click-throughs. So that's another way to increase your engagement rates.
Okay. This might be an extremely granular question, but how about font of text or size of text? Did the report look into any of that?
Unfortunately, no. We're not able to see what the sizes of different fonts people are using, or the faces or the types that they're using. But the general best practice is to make sure that your body content has at least 14 to 16 size font for the body, and higher for the headlines. And this is more for accessibility, to make sure that your emails look good across all devices, and people that might not have you know, great eyesight, or might have like some impairment, will be able to read your emails without any issues.
So if there was one thing that you would like viewers to take away from this whole email benchmarking report, what would it be?
Yeah, simplify your email marketing. You know, optimize it for productivity. Don't overthink it. So there are many ways you can optimize your email campaigns, but we see that time and time and again, if you use things like automation to trigger your emails to send them automatically, when you use features like time travel or perfect timing to optimize the send time automatically, or product recommendations using AI, all these things combined can have a massive impact on your click-through rates, on your conversion rates, and you don't have to overthink it yourself. Just use tools that let you automate these things, simplify your communication, and just let the automation or AI do it for you.
Michał, thank you so much for your insights. And folks, if you want to access this report, this is jam-packed full of amazing data. 4.4 billion emails analyzed for free. You can find it on the GetResponse blog. Go do yourselves a favor and check it out. And Michał, if you want to find this guy, he's on LinkedIn. He's called 𝗵𝗃. Try and spell that name. If you're not Polish, it's difficult, but you know, give it a go, and you'll see his smiling face. And then, yeah, add him on LinkedIn and say hi.
Hi.
You can people get a signed copy of the email benchmarking reports from yourself?
Yeah, if they print it out and bring it to me, then yeah.
Okay, with a selfie? How do you react to fans?
I mean, so annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, once in a while, yeah, but come on.
Not when you're eating dinner, when you're out eating dinner.
No,
it's pretty
and
annoying.
lately it's been just too much.
Too much. Well, you know, like, good content comes at a cost, you know? Can't have it both ways.
I mean, it's free content.
True enough.